Alex, it's no secret that you have an insane amount of fan support. I think we've all seen that. I got to experience that playing you last year at Miami Open when it was your breakout tournament and I'm playing like at home. And I was like, why is nobody cheering for me? Like, literally, not one person.
It's amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on?
Jessica Pegula praises Alex Eala like never before after podcast invite, when a top-ranked tennis star like Jessica Pegula goes out of her way to spotlight a rising talent. People pay attention. But what just happened between Pegula and Alex Eala? This wasn't just a casual compliment. This was different. This felt like a passing of the torch moment, and it all started with a simple podcast invitation that turned into something much bigger than anyone expected. It was a podcast, relaxed, unfiltered.
It's amazing. I mean, I played her when she kind of broke out last year in Miami, and I'm from there, and the whole crowd was against me, and I was like, what on earth is going on? Like, where do these people come from? And then week after week, as she has done well and established herself as a really good player on tour, they all come out to support her. And so I think we saw that in Australia when it was kind of overcrowded. They put her on too small of a court. We saw it here. You can hear it from the hotel. You can hear the crowd roaring, especially at night. So
And honest hen Jessica Pegula invited Alex Eala onto her platform. Most fans expected a light conversation. Maybe some talk about training routines, tour life, and the usual tennis chatter, but what they got instead was a deep, genuine acknowledgement of greatness in the making. Pegula didn't hold back.
Now we know that you tend to pack a stadium. You're the highest ranked Filipino in WTA history.
She didn't sugarcoat anything. She looked straight at Eala and essentially told the world, "You're not just promising, you're already here." That statement alone sent shockwaves through the tennis community. Let's be clear, Jessica Pegula isn't someone who throws praise around lightly. She's competed against the best. She's faced elite-level pressure. She knows exactly what it takes to survive and thrive at the highest level of tennis. So when she speaks with this level of conviction about Alex Eala, it carries weight. Pegula highlighted something that many casual fans might have missed: Eala's composure under pressure, her ability to read the game beyond her years, and most
Then this went viral, this moment that you had afterwards, where obviously you'd lost to Jessica, but I was watching this on TV and I thought, wow, this is amazing. I mean, obviously, hopefully you can have more of this, but again, what do you remember about this few minutes after you'd lost to Jessica?
This was such a sweet moment for me. Let me tell you, I'm definitely not normally like this when I lose.
No.
But this was definitely a special circumstance. I remember the last couple of match points, I was able to save a match point.
Yeah.
And I just tried to prolong the match as long as I could because I knew that this is where I wanted to be. And then after I sat down, after the handshake, I looked up and just so many flags of the Philippines and so many Filipinos. It was past midnight, they were there to stay, and I had just had the best run of my career so far. So there was so much to be happy about in that moment, yeah.
importantly, her mental strength. According to Pegula, that's what separates good players from future champions, and in her, Eala is already showing those championship traits. At one point in the podcast, Pegula made a bold claim. She suggested that Alex Eala could become one of the defining faces of tennis in the next generation. Now, that's not a small statement. That's the kind of label usually reserved for players who are expected to dominate the sport. And when a top player says it publicly, it changes perception instantly. Fans started looking at Eala differently. Media outlets began paying closer attention. And
Started to sink in, and when I kind of accepted that I was sort of a famous personality, then it became easier to handle.
You can say it.
suddenly, the conversation shifted from how soon will she break through. What this means for the Filipinas. For Filipino tennis fans, this moment was massive. Alex Eala has already been carrying the hopes of a nation, but now she has validation from one of the sport's elite players. Pegula didn't just praise her skills, she acknowledged her impact. She spoke about how Eala represents more than just herself. She represents a new wave of tennis talent coming from regions that haven't traditionally dominated the sport, and that's powerful, because tennis is evolving, and players like Eala are leading that change. What made this conversation stand out wasn't just the praise. It was the authenticity. Eala asked real questions. Eala gave honest answers. They talked about,
Sa tingin ko, it's very difficult personally to define what is a champion's mentality. I feel like that's very subjective and situational. Alam ko lang yung mindset ko. And I say this a lot, but I think my biggest strength is my mindset. Kasi madami namang marunong mag-serve, madami namang magaling mag-forehand or backhand or drop shot. And I don't think I'm the best in the world at any of those things, but the thing that I can control most is how I think and how I approach certain obstacles. And a big part of that has to do with my foundation growing up, the values that my family's instilled since I was young. And I like to think that's what's...
the pressure of expectations, mental challenges of the tour, the sacrifices behind the scenes, and the reality of chasing greatness. At one point, Eala opened up about the difficulty of balancing confidence with humility. And Pegula responded with something that resonated deeply. If you're not confident in this sport, you're already losing. That exchange alone revealed why Pegula respects Eala so much. She sees someone who understands the game, not just physically, but mentally. Every rising star has that one moment where everything starts to shift. This could be it for Eala, because recognition from peers matters, especially when it comes from someone at Pegula's level. This podcast didn't just boost Eala's visibility. It elevated her credibility. Now, when people talk about the future of women's tennis, her name is firmly in the conversation. Let's not ignore the other side of this. With this level of hype, Ohm's expectation, now the spotlight is brighter, the scrutiny is stronger, and every performance will be analyzed more closely than Eve. But here's the thing. If Pegula is right about Eala's mental strength, his pressure won't break her. It will fuel her. One of the most interesting parts of the conversation was when Pegula explained why she believes in Eala so much. It's not just about talent. It's about decision-making under pressure, court awareness, emotional control, and adaptability. These are qualities that don't always show up on highlight reels, but they're what win matches, and Pegula made it clear. After the podcast dropped, clips started circulating everywhere. Fans couldn't believe how strongly Pegula backed Eala. Social media exploded with reactions like, even analysts started revisiting Eala's past performances, looking at them through a new lens, because now they had a reason to believe. THS is where things get interesting, because now the narrative has changed. Eala is no longer just a rising player. And that means the real question is, how will she respond if she lives up to even half of what Pegula sees in here? Could be witnessing the early stages of something special. This wasn't just a podcast. This was a statement. Jessica Pegula D. It's different. This felt like a passing of the torch moment, and it all started with a simple podcast invitation that turned into something much bigger than anyone expected. It was a podcast, relaxed, unfiltered, and honest. Jessica Pegula invited Eala onto her platform. Most fans expected a light conversation. Maybe some talk about training routines, tour life, and the usual tennis chatter, but what they got instead was a deep, genuine acknowledgement of greatness in the making. Pegula didn't hold back. She didn't sugarcoat anything. She looked straight at Eala and essentially told the world, "You're not just promising, you're already here." That statement alone sent shockwaves through the tennis community. Let's be clear, Jessica Pegula isn't someone who throws praise around lightly. She's competed against the best. She's faced elite-level pressure. She knows exactly what it takes to survive and thrive at the highest level of tennis. So when she speaks with this level of conviction about Eala, it carries weight. Pegula highlighted something that many casual fans might have missed: Eala's composure under pressure, her ability to read the game beyond her years, and most importantly, her mental strength. According to Pegula, that's what separates good players from future champions.